And a massive manhunt is under.
And we'll leave our colleagues at the BBC there for the moment and continue updating you on this breaking news story out of France. At least 2 gunmen have attacked the Paris office of the French satirical magazine Charlie Hebdo, killing a number of people. Our Europe correspondent Phil Williams joins us now. Phil, what can you tell us so far about what's happened? We're getting some more details filtering through.
Yes, it does appear that about 3 hours ago, these 2 gunmen, we think it's 2, hooded, carrying the Kalashnikov weapons, went into the building where this satirical magazine is based. It's a magazine that has in the past been firebombed because of its depiction of the Prophet Muhammad. And allegedly, the gunmen, there are eyewitness reports, the gunmen of saying, as they entered various offices, we have avenged the Prophet. Now, we believe from some of the statements from some of those inside that they went office to office looking for people that worked for the magazine. And of course, many shots fired, as we've heard, and a disastrous result, 12 dead, and we're not quite sure about the numbers injured, but certainly a number, 4 or 5 critically injured, and we believe a couple of policemen also amongst the dead there. Now, we've seen some vision that's come out from citizens that have used their phones. One bit of video footage appeared to show gunmen firing down the street, perhaps at police, after they'd been in the building. This seems to be coming from the rooftop of a building about half a block away. Another bit of vision came very recently, which appeared to show the gunmen leaving the area in their car, as you almost in a casual manner, not screaming off, just casually hopping into the car and driving off. Now, of course, they are the subject of a massive manhunt. They'll be looking for that particular vehicle, so there's no doubt about the sort of vehicle they were in or are in now. But as it stands, they have not been located. That vehicle hasn't been found yet, as far as we know. And so those 2 individuals, it appears, are still on the loose in Paris, and that will be of deep concern. Now, we know also that other newspaper offices and other tourist spots around Paris have been reinforced, that they have had armed police outside the front of them in case there was any attempts to create even more mayhem and carnage. No doubt there will be more troops on the street, as we saw just before Christmas, because of a spate of what were blamed as lone wolf attacks on police and against individuals just randomly using cars as weapons. So a very serious situation. Francois Hollande, the President, is calling an emergency meeting of his security cabinet, and will decide what the next step is. But of course the first step is to catch these people, to make sure they can do no more harm, and then of course the long investigation into the motivation, how they did it, how they got these weapons, and how they managed to get into the heart of the French capital and create such a serious situation.
You mentioned there, Phil, the casual nature of these gunmen as they walked out onto the street that these people did capture on their phones, residents around the area captured on their phones. And that casual nature has brought people into question about who these men are. I mean, there was something like 700 French citizens that are known to have travelled to Syria and participated in the events that are happening there. So what is speculation like on the streets of Paris and around Europe at the moment about whether this is a lone wolf attack, as we've come to know it, or whether it is something more sinister, whether this is maybe someone who's been to Syria and is trained and knows what they're doing?
Well, this is purely in the realm of speculation at the moment. We simply don't know. But of course, yes, you're right. There is great concern about people returning from places like Syria, like Libya, other hotspots in the Middle East, who may have gone out with no training, come back expert in weapons. Kalashnikov, of course, is the weapon of choice in the Middle East, very familiar to Islamist fighters throughout the Middle East. But how they actually got it, these weapons, who they are, and exactly their motivation remains unclear. And that's why the security forces are all out now, combing Paris and perhaps beyond now, to try and make sure that they capture these people and make sure that they're at least removing that clear and immediate danger. Of course, the other question is, are they part of something bigger? Are they part of an organisation? could this be part of a coordinated series of attacks that have been planned? And that'll be the greater concern at the moment. But for the moment, the concentration is get these guys, get them into custody, and then find out everything they possibly can about it. Because it's obviously a failure in some respects of the intelligence community to pick these people up, but it's an extremely difficult thing to do if it is a couple of individuals that have agreed amongst themselves to carry out such an attack without reference to a broader organisation, in which case you don't necessarily have the internet traffic, the phone conversations that might lead intelligence organisations to this sort of people. So all these questions have yet to be answered. What we can tell you is that, of course, a dozen people have died. There are others on the critical list, and these two people, it appears, are still on the loose, and that's obviously a situation that is very dangerous. They're somewhere probably in Paris, although they could have left Paris by now, but clearly the police know exactly what that car looks like. They perhaps have a number for it, and will no doubt be hunting for that as we speak now.
The ABC's Europe correspondent Phil Williams, thank you very much for bringing us the very latest on that terrifying situation coming out of France. And we'll return now to our colleagues at the BBC for continued live coverage of this breaking news.
The security level